Gamma.app boasts as being an AI-powered platform that transforms your ideas into stunning presentations, websites, and documents. It's used by companies like Amazon, Adobe, Zoom, and Stanford, among many, many more. They also boast that 0 design skills are required to use this tool. So let's put that to the test. I'm going to take you through a brief navigational tour of the tool, then we'll create a deck and see how it performs. Let's jump in. Okay, here we are in the Gamma dashboard. As you can see, I have created a bunch of gammas just in playing around with it for the last month or so, but I thought we'd start with a quick navigational overview. On the left-hand side here, you've got your gammas view, which is where we're at. You can see the gammas that have been shared with you, which I don't have any, but AI images that have been used in all of your presentations. Those can be recycled, reused, and downloaded. You can create different folders to organize things. There's a ton of different templates that you can pull from that are standard templates that they provide. And these give your gammas a starting point, your gammas, your projects, they call them gammas. Then you've got your themes. I did use a theme, I created my own. So this is based off of my brand kit. So I've got my accent colors, my primary colors, text and fonts that I use. My logo is uploaded there. And then you've got just some basic design features. How round you want your edges? Do you want any drop shadows? And then when you create a new gamma, you can select this as your theme. And then all of your gammas will have that consistent theme. It even allows you to provide a style prompt for the images. So you can see that I've got that there. And you can upload your own accent images if you want. And then as is typical, you've got your settings, contact support, and share your feedback. To create a new gamma, you need to go to gammas. You've got a couple of different options. You can create a new gamma by clicking New Gamma. This will give you the option of basically using Gamma as a PowerPoint builder and really kind of build from scratch. That's not what most people want to do. I don't think they want to create it with AI, so let's jump into that. Once you get into the Create with AI section, there's 4 different options to really kick things off. You've got generate from a prompt, paste in text from notes or an outline. If you've got some files that you want to upload, maybe you've got an existing deck that you just want to improve, you can upload that there, or you can start from a template. We are going to generate from a 1-line prompt. And here again, you've got some different options. You can generate a presentation, a web page, a document, or a social post. I'm going to start with 10 cards in classic mode. Default fluid slides. I personally do not like this. You can't effectively export them to Google Slides or PowerPoint because the formatting is going to be too small or too big to fit on a standard 16:9 slide, which in my opinion isn't super helpful unless your entire organization or all of your clients are also using Gamma, which at this point isn't really a realistic expectation. So I will just start with traditional here, and then I'll plop in my prompt, which is create a presentation that can be used for a live instructor-led training that covers the basics of how to get started with Gamma, and then provides the URL. The training should be no more than 10 slides long and no more than 30 minutes. And then it'll generate an outline. So I'm gonna just cruise through this briefly, but at a glance, it looks to be okay. Continuing down, I like to make sure that all of my decks are minimal in writing, because if you do extensive, it'll put 5-point font, which is going to be completely unreadable and unusable in a real live setting. Then I will choose my master theme, and there's some advanced options. So let's take a quick look at that before we actually generate. This is where you can do some deeper editing of each of those stages in the outline. You can write it for, and then I'm just gonna go for tech enthusiasts and then make it humorous. Let's see how that comes out. If you scroll down a little bit, you've got your image source. You can use stock photos, web images, AI images, and if you choose AI images, You have a bunch of different models that you can choose from. I'm actually going to drop it back to automatic though, and it'll probably use a bunch of AI generated images regardless. The format, we already chose that it's a presentation, that it's going to be in traditional, so nothing new there. And the last thing to do is just generate. Here it is kind of cool because you can actually see Gamma start to build the deck and see how quickly it is actually working. There's a lot of placeholders for images. Those will be filled in by the end, but let's allow it to do its thing and I'll come back to you in a moment. All right, Gamma is done creating this 10 slide deck super fast. It was easily less than 2 minutes, maybe closer to 1 minute than a minute and a half to be fair. It's got our 10 slides, getting started. You cruise through what is it, why choose it, sign up and explore, some pro tips, start a new presentation with some basic steps there, edit with ease, collaborate and share. We'll cover that a little bit later. Create faster, and then common questions, ready to create. A pretty solid looking deck from a content standpoint. It's not necessarily what I would look for as far as images. There's no pictures of the dashboard or anything like that, which in a training like this, you would probably want versus just a bunch of text. But generally speaking, you could pretty easily sub out these images. It's as easy as click on the image, go to the edit image option, click this drop down, and then there's the option to upload or use a URL. So if you took a quick screenshot, you could very, very easily edit that. Some of the other edit options, as we're in here looking at them, you've got card styling up here in the top left. So if you wanted to change the layout of this from a right layout to a top layout, super easy to do. You can even add it as a background and it will automatically throw on the opacity for you, which is fantastic. You can also edit the whole slide with AI. There are obviously a number of prompts there that you can just click on. You can also write in your prompt. So if you wanted to make it longer, you can do that. And then it'll open up the agent here on the right. We'll give it a second to do that. Ooh, and it is done. Incidentally, that took about 45 seconds to a minute, about the time that it took to create the entire deck. But you can see that we've got our new modified, significantly longer slide versus our original, which we could keep if we want. So that's a quick intro to card styling and editing with an agent. You've also got some really interesting options for adding bullets. So you can see we've got 3 columns here, technically bullets. If we wanted to add another one, we can just add that next one. It'll add a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th. Then it will stick with your themed colors, which is fantastic. And then you can just type in what you want. So those are great. It's just Control Z to undo if you want to undo those. You've also got a bunch of traditional editing tools. I mentioned those earlier if you're building from scratch. If we close our agent here, you've got your traditional editing tools bar where you could add in basic blocks, images, different smart layouts. You've got a bunch of different diagrams, 3D diagrams that you can pull from charts and graphs, and then of course embedding video. Additionally, which is nice, you can also embed apps and web pages, and then finally forms and buttons. So a lot of editing options for you, regardless of whether you want AI to do the editing or you want to do it manually. Up at the top here, you can always change your theme. Of course, I've got my custom theme here, but they've got a lot of different standard themes that you can choose from. Jumping over to the agent button, that just opens that agent view back up. Like I mentioned earlier, the fluid view, which I don't personally love, can be presented straight through here. So if you're doing a webinar and you don't plan on sharing this deck out, you don't really intend for people to use it or interact with it, just to view it, you could certainly do that. But in the fluid view, if the slide was longer than the traditional format of a PowerPoint slide, you'd still need to scroll down to the bottom of that slide and then it'll jump to the next one after that. So I just don't really think that it's a necessary feature. Maybe we'll see some stuff come out in the future that will make it make a little bit more sense, or maybe you guys have some ideas for it that I'm just not thinking about, and I'd love to hear them if you do. Last but not least, you can share it. You can just export it as a Google slide or a PowerPoint. I tend to stick with PowerPoint, so I'm going to export it as that. And let's just see what it looks like in PowerPoint. So this is the PowerPoint deck. It looks very familiar. It looks exactly like what we saw before, which is great. I am seeing a lot of 17.5 font sizes, which is great to see. It did error out on the generation of this download. I have not run into that issue before though, so I'm gonna consider it a one-off. It's also a thunderstorm outside, so that might have something to do with the connection. Other than that, I think it looks pretty solid. It's a pretty solid starting off point like most AI tools. They're not outputting a final product with one prompt. So there you have it, a quick introduction to Gamma and some of the main features for creating, editing, and sharing a presentation. In all honesty, I think it looks way better visually than some of the other tools like Manus and ChatGPT as far as what it is outputting from a presentation standpoint. As with any AI tools, it's a helpful jumpstart. It's not creating a final product with just one prompt. However, the ability to create a custom theme is great for consistency. I was able to upload my logo and my fonts and my colors, and that is going to be super helpful in the future. On the flip side, the fluid slide model that's the default as opposed to the traditional aspect ratios of a PowerPoint presentation, a useless feature in my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I just can't think of why anybody would want it. This is not a sponsored video, but if you did find this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It'll help others find it. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe and that bell icon so you get notified of future videos. My name is Jordan Taylor with the Corporate Training Companion. Until next time.